All right, we hit a milestone with this channel. We hit 1,000+ subscribers. Thank you so much. We're closer to getting monetized. Every little bit counts. We talk about the long hiatus from the vlog and how I've been working so much in the last couple weeks that no time to do the channel, but I'm back. We also talk about new skills and new opportunities and preview the next episode of the Sam Jack podcast. All that and more on the Sam Jack Talks Back vlog. Here we go! Welcome back to Sam Jack Talks Back, the VMN Videos vlog. As I said, just worked 12 days out of 13, 10 straight days from last Wednesday, and finally have a day off. I did a video gig for soccer, then I did some audio assist, A2 work for baseball for 4 days, and then I did a corporate camera gig for 3 days, and then back to A2 work for 2 days, and that's when I had a day off, and then worked Sunday back A2 for the A's, and then this last Monday, Tuesday, did some video for a corporate gig. Now, video in the corporate production world is different than what a video operator would be in a sports or mobile television broadcasting application. Video in the sports broadcasting, mobile television, and other entertainment, just basically mobile broadcast production, where you're working off a production truck that rolls into the venue, and you're working at an arena, right? And you're rolling in on a production truck. That video position is specifically cameras. You are doing video feeds. You're sending video feeds and monitors to where reporters have to go and where the booth is. The broadcast booth where the announcers who call the game, and other feeds and courtesy feeds to the house, so they can replay some of the cameras on their video screen. And there's replay, the replay system that sports use and whatever. So for video, you're doing those feeds and you're running mults and fiber and all this stuff, fiber for video conversion and video mults and camera cables. It's SMPTE fiber, which is a camera connection type of fiber cable. But during the game, the operation during the show, you would say, is you are shading the camera, or in film perspective, you would be live color correcting the camera. And when I say camera, I mean cameras, plural. You're dealing with 6, sometimes as little as 3, but up to 6, 8, 10, sometimes 15 cameras. Some of them are robotic cameras. Some of them are Marshall cameras that are smaller, kind of GoPro cameras, but with a professional SDI video out. You've got, now we're using Blackmagic cameras and, some more DSLR style, mirrorless lens cameras, so you're doing a lot of video feeds, but during the game, you're trying to make every camera look the same. And there's someone in the front that's with the director, who the director's live calling the shots. The TD, the technical director, is the one punching the buttons and switching between the cameras and putting in the graphics and wiping. You have graphics people building actual graphics, and then you got people, on a switcher. That's the one of the buttons featured in Star Wars, by the way, punching up all the different feeds, laying in all the graphics, doing the layovers, the wiping between all the fancy graphics and the motion and all that stuff. And then you got the replay people that are queuing up all the replays that are the feeds from the cameras. So it's very more compartmentalized. Now, video in corporate, which is this gig I just did over the last couple of days, which I had less experience with, by the way. I was doing switching on a Blackmagic ATEM, which is not a broadcast industry standard. Some might say it is, but it's more of a corporate corporate production or live streaming setup. If you're dealing with in a broadcast truck, you're dealing with a Ross switcher or Grass Valley if they still have them. And so on and so forth. The big production switchers, the multiple MEs, and I think you can get pretty sophisticated. ME is mix effects bus. I'm kind of going off on a tangent here. So anyways, this gets to what I was talking about new skills and new opportunities, but needless to say, that was my last gig over this 13-day period of where I worked 12 days out of 13 days, 10 days straight. mainly with my main gig doing sports broadcasting. But, I like it, but it's, you have to shift brains sometimes when you're going from an audio position to a camera position to a video position. And I do like it because I've always been bad with repetition. Can you tell with getting this vlog out regularly? But no, seriously. I like doing different things sometimes, and doing the same thing every day is not something in my psyche that I like to. I know that sounds weird, but I like certain repetition as far as, morning routine. I've come to learn that that's important, especially, being a father now. And it's hard. It's been hard for me to transition into that, but, going from a video position to audio assist to camera to audio assist to video, but not really have done too much switching in the broadcast world. And when this corporate job asked me to do video, I thought I'd be shading cameras and doing more video feeds. Where I was doing video feeds, I was sending video feeds to the big screens for the audience, and then what they would call a confidence monitor, or what we would call in broadcast a turnaround monitor, so the talent can see. And there was no cameras on this gig. It was just content. It was slides. It was presentations on PowerPoint. So I'm taking feeds from computers, laptops, but in front of the stage, there's two screens. That's facing back towards the presenter, so they don't have to look back at the screen. They can look at the audience. It's kind of like, think of like a teleprompter, as we all know, but since there's no cameras, you put it down here, and they're not words per se. Well, you do have notes. That's the thing. The second monitor on the right are your notes. The screen on the left is what you're presenting, what the audience can see. So you don't have to keep going like this. So you can see, okay, this is the slide that I built for, this is what I'm going to talk about. Move, move, move. And you just look down a little bit. So you got to send those feeds. But during the show, I'm switching. I'm switching with a mix effects bus, Blackmagic ATEM. Familiar with setting it up. I own a TV studio. This one was a Blackmagic Constellation. Pretty sophisticated for the level of what it is compared to, like I said, a full-blown, 4ME. ME is mix effects bus. And that's what they call basically one layer. I've always learned about it is like things flow like a waterfall in mix effects buses when you're switching. But basically you have every layer is a source, and then the layer above it is a different source. So when you're layering over another layer, you're building it with one. You're saying, okay, this is feeding this, but that's what you selected. So you punch up what you want to cut to. So let's say, okay, this camera's live right now on the mix effects bus. You punch up, you preview, you call up the next camera you want to switch to in your preview bus. And then, okay, and then it shows, hey, this is the camera you're about to cut to. And then you hit the T-bar, again, that's what they do when they set off the Death Star in Star Wars. They hit the T-bar, right? A lot of people don't use the T-bar right these days because you're either hard cut or you're doing a dissolve, which a lot of people would call a fade. But a fade is only considered when it's visually a fade, it fades to a color or fades to a darkness or fades to whiteness. When it goes image to image, it's technically called a dissolve because you're taking one away while you're putting one back, where a fade is where you're fading out that image. So you're fading out that image, but a dissolve is you're fading it out, but putting something back into it. So that's a dissolve. You're cross dissolving, right? Just like a cross fade in audio. Fade is actually more of an audio term, but fading in visual. So anyways, and those two buttons are automatic, fade and cut. So I was basically doing that, just two simple things, and just cutting between presentations. And sometimes there was a still image to cut to, but it was newer for me because I wasn't as familiar with that, but it was a nice, easy. I don't want to say it was easy. It was challenging because it was a new thing, but as far as like, there wasn't a ton of inputs. I wasn't dealing with that and cameras and things like that. So, it was really good to use similar equipment as far as like converting fiber to SDI or converting HDMI to SDI. And SDI is basically a professional version of coax cable, what you would screw into the back of your, satellite TV, or if you still have bunny ears, that screw in coax cable. There's a professional connector that's like boop, boop. That's SDI. But anyways, I digress. And then other new opportunities, which Viral Media Network hasn't done in a little bit. It's been actually a while. Gonna be working with a client making some social media content and kind of behind the scenes, day in the life of what some of their workers do. So I'm not gonna, divulge that completely, but just know that there's more content being created by VMN for their clients. So it's kind of new opportunities there. That's great, where I'm not just working on my own stuff. Yes, there are more Thrift Store Finance episodes coming out. But as I said, as I got busy, there's one that's basically like 80% edited. I just need to finalize and get out there. So that'll be coming out this week. And then I have another one that I shot that I need to edit. So that's coming out soon too as well. I just need an editor is basically what it comes down to. And then there's more episodes coming soon. And then, look out for the Afi Iona podcast. That's coming up. The Sam Jack podcast. That's coming up next week. You'll be seeing clips of that on this channel and on our Instagram. You can follow us on Instagram. We're viralmedia.network. VMN videos here on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook as well. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching. I want to leave you with this thought for all you freelancers out there. You can take as much work as they give you, okay? As you can get. You can take as much work as you can get, but you'll never get the time back if you need it. You'll never get time back for those moments with your family, birthdays, so on and so forth. For instance, Mother's Day is coming up, and I'm working on Mother's Day. But I'm going to see my mom tomorrow before Mother's Day, and I'm going to do something for my wife for Mother's Day the day after on Monday when I have the day off. But certain things you can't get back. Certain events that you choose not to go to because you just need the work. Sometimes you'll never get those back. So it's something to think about as a freelancer. And that's all about what a lot of this channel is about. So most of this channel, the podcast, me talking to people about being a freelancer, creating their own niche and finding the time and managing life and that kind of thing. So little word to the wise, you can take as much work as you can get, but you'll never get the time back when you need it. And with that, I'll see you on the next one. Check out all the other great content. Like I said, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Let's see if I can get the confetti going again. Confetti?